Saa 18 baada ya saa 12 Afrika Mashariki, unaendelea kutazama Kenya's Gold. Sasa tayari tumeketi kitako taratibu tuingie katika mdahalo mkubwa. Tunazungumzia upanzi wa miti na miradi ya uvunaji wa maji, na tunaye tayari afisa mkuu mtendaji wa Agitech Seedlings Nursery, Peter Karanja. Karibu sana bwana Peter.
Asante sana.
Moja kwa moja tuzungumzie, umeona makala ambayo yameandaliwa siku ya leo na inahusiana na Agitech. Kubwa zaidi ambayo mnafanya kule ni nini hasa, ikizingatia yale makala ambayo umeona hewani?
Asante sana Terrell. Wacha nikupatiane insight kidogo ya Agitech. Agitech Seedlings ni kampuni ambayo inashughulika na maneno mawili. Moja ni propagation of seedlings, vegetable seedlings, that is tomatoes, melon, cabbages and others. And two, there's also another unit that deals with propagation of fruit trees, fodder, ornamentals, and other tree seedlings. So hiyo ndio kazi yake hasa.
Now, being a seedling propagation unit, what are the advantages of practicing agriculture through the raising of seedlings as opposed to ile tulikuwa tu tumezoea kuona mababu zetu wanatupa two seeds kwa shamba and they just germinate and grow? What's the advantage of going this route of the seedlings?
I think wacha nikuambie, technology has actually improved and it has actually changed. And farming nowadays is actually a business. And farming being a business, you cannot actually guess work. And that is why we came up with this particular unit to help farmers get quality seedlings. Traditionally, we used to make our seedbed behind the house there. And this particular seedbed was actually exposed to all manner of maladies. The weather could actually affect. Maybe it can rain, and it sweeps out. It sweeps away the whole of the nursery. Domestic animals like goats, chicken, cows can actually come and sweep the whole thing. Even a thief can actually come and uproot your seedlings. So you are actually not safe. Or what I can actually say is that even if you put a seedbed behind your house, you are not sure that you are going to plant. So over the last maybe 10 years, technology has actually come up that the work of propagation of seedlings was actually given out to professional seed raisers, whereby the seed, let me start with the seed, because the seed is very, very important. The seed, first of all, has to be certified by KEFIS, which is actually the body that regulates seeds. Then that particular seed is then brought to Agitech by the farmer. Once the seed comes in, we actually go ahead and sow it. The sowing process is actually done through what we call trays. We do it on trays using what we call a soilless media called peat moss. And the advantage of this particular peat moss is that it is free of microorganisms. So that particular seedling cannot have any disease. So once you sow them, then we cover with another component called vermiculite to help in the retention of water. After that, we put the trays in what we call a germination chamber. And a germination chamber is actually like an incubation, whereby we subject now the seeds to the right temperatures. After we do that, we keep them for about 2 to 3 days, depending on the variety. After they start germinating, then we take them to the growing area. The growing area is actually the greenhouse. There, the seedlings actually stay for about a month, depending on the variety. And our work there is actually to feed and raise and harden these particular seedlings. So when the farmer comes, they pick a very high quality seedling, a seedling that is going to withstand the harsh weather in the farm. The establishment is almost 100%. You don't lose any seedling, because what normally used to happen, the seedlings used to suffer from what we call transplanting shock. But these seedlings don't have that particular problem. Once you put them in the soil, they just pick up.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yako ni teknolojia na inakwenda sawa sana kwako, lakini kuna mkulima ambaye anakusikiliza na anajaribu kuelewa kwamba nitafanyaje, mimi sina teknolojia, lakini kuna njia rahisi ya kufikia hiyo?
The unit is actually open for the farmers. and the farmers can bring in their own seed, and we propagate for them at a fee. For those maybe who cannot afford, they can also make their own small nurseries using trays. We also sell those particular trays, and we can also sell the media to them, and they can be able to do their own seedlings in their backyard. But we don't advocate for that because they are not professionals. Yeah, the germination cannot be guaranteed. So we actually advise the farmers to come to Agitech and get the right service from the professionals.
All right.
Yeah.
Now, through the propagation unit, it's clear we're getting high-quality seedlings.
Absolutely.
And when a farmer comes to get them, these are baby seedlings, so they are quite sensitive.
Yeah.
How does a farmer handle them to transplanting them so that we make sure we don't damage the seedling, being very sensitive after germinating? After
they germinate, I've actually told you we take them to the growing area. When the farmer is actually picking, they're almost one month old. So they're actually a bit hardy. We also expose them to hardening procedure, whereby we deny them water for some time so that they become hardy. So that once they go into the field, they don't suffer what you call transplanting shock. So these particular seedlings are quite hardy. You can even transport them from Mwea to Mombasa, and nothing is going to happen. We are selling a lot of seedlings in Roitoktok, and we actually transport them using our trucks. So the trays are actually put in the truck using what we call cages. So we line them so that they cannot lie on one another, and then we put them very well. We transport them all the way to Roitoktok.
Alivyozungumza Mbugua kule wakati wa makala hayo, amezungumzia sana akisema kwamba mna advocate kwa fruit seedlings. Mbona hilo kwa sasa?
We have actually seen a lot of problems emanating from climate change or global warming. And this has actually caused a lot of problems because we have, for the last few years, we have actually had very harsh weather. Last year we had a serious drought whereby we lost a lot of animals, especially in the rural areas of Kajiado and Eastern. And this is actually because of climate change and global warming. So what the government is actually doing is to advocate and support tree planting. And as you said, the government actually even set aside a day whereby you are supposed to plant trees. But what you are saying is that don't just plant a tree. Plant a tree that has benefits. Because a fruit tree has several benefits. It is going to offer you the shade. It is going to do what you call managing the microclimate and capturing the carbon that is the other trees are doing. But besides that, you're also getting a fruit. So that is why we are saying don't just plant a tree, plant a fruit tree. That has more benefit than the other normal tree. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Peter, for that explanation and sharing a lot of light on the importance of going through the seedling way. But we were also very keen to learn so much about water harvesting, which is a new terminology we are talking about on the show. There's someone who's watching, and right now we've experienced a lot of heavy rains. Please take us through what we mean when you talk about water harvesting and what are the techniques involved in water harvesting, both in advanced and also simpler ones that farmers in the rural areas can use.
Yeah, water harvesting is basically capturing water and storing during the rainy season. Because for the last few weeks, we have actually had very heavy rains. And most of this water has actually gone down to the drain because all the water has actually gone to the Indian Ocean. The Indian Ocean does not need a drop of water. It has enough. And maybe after about 3 months, everybody will start crying that we are suffering from drought, we can't get enough water. Yet, when the rains were there, we did nothing. So what I'm trying to say is that water harvesting is just capturing that particular water and storing it to use when it is not raining. There are many methods of doing that. Traditionally, you could actually find your parents putting on gutters in your houses and capturing water and storing in drums. That is a very simple method. Others can actually dig a hole, and in that particular hole put a rain and then put that particular water so that you can use it when it is dry. There are other methods like now the pans, the water pans that are being done by the government and the county government, and even individuals. Like here in Agitech, we have a LISA that we did that is able to capture about 7 million liters of water. And we are actually harvesting the water from the greenhouses. So water harvesting is actually a very simple kind of a method, and it can be used by anybody. Even a small farmer can actually practice water harvesting.
Naomba ni kurejesha nyuma tena hasa katika upanzi wa miti. Novemba tarehe 13 serikali ilitenga siku hiyo kwamba itapanda miti, na lengo lao kubwa ni kufikia miaka 10 tuna takriban miti bilioni 15. Hilo litawezekana?
It is possible. It's a tall order, but it is possible. All that is actually required is a will by the people of Kenya. Because I think the people can actually see that they have suffered a lot in the last 3-4 years. And if they are committed, if everybody is actually committed to this particular cause of planting trees, we can be able to achieve that.
All right.
Yeah.
Now, you've spoken on the importance of water harvesting being something that can be practiced by both small-scale farmers, large-scale farmers.
Yes.
But the adoption of the practice is still quite low.
Yeah.
What is the hindrance in between to a point where we are not fully harvesting rain as we should?
I think it's just a matter of awareness. We need to create more awareness. We need to train our farmers. We need to take them to institutions like Agitech, where they can actually run this particular process of water harvesting. We need to train them on a continuous basis. We should not tire. We continue talking about it until it is actually hammered into the minds of Kenyans that water harvesting is actually critical. It is important. Kenya is not a water deficient country. We receive a lot of water. Yet, when we receive this particular water, we don't store it, we don't use it correctly. It goes down to the drain. Then when the harsh weather comes, everybody is crying.
Kuna mtu ambaye amesukumwa na maisha sana, akaamua kwende kazi yake sasa ni kukata miti, alipanda wakati moja. Yeye anajinufaisha kwa sababu alipanda yeye, lakini sasa nieleze athari ambazo zitatokea kule wakati anakata na hapandi.
What normally happens after you cut trees and you don't plant is that you actually aggravate what you call desertification. And in fact, Kenya was actually heading there. We are actually having a lot of problems. Most of the areas that used to rain are no longer raining. The areas that used to receive a lot of rain are receiving very, very little. If you remember, maybe in your village, you used to have streams across. But now when you go there, you just find dry beds. This is because people cut trees and they never replanted. So we are not saying that it's wrong to harvest your trees, but then harvest and replant. That is the most important aspect. So harvest and replant.
All right. So besides lack of awareness, as a challenge that is making not as much people harvest rain as much as possible, there's also the issue of cost, because some of the technology that is required for harvesting rain is quite expensive. Earlier on, we had spoken to a farmer who says their way of harvesting rain is use of construction of small dams and also micropans, which are not very affordable for a small-scale farmer. How best can farmers, national government, private organizations work together so that we make sure that this initiative is taken up at a point where we can help mitigate the cost problem?
Yeah, I think this is actually a task for everyone, starting with the national government. The government should actually come up with ways of creating ponds and dams across each and every region. In fact, maybe each and every village should actually have a water pan. And if the government and the county government unite and organize themselves, we can actually be able to achieve that. It is not something that is impossible. The other thing is that for farmers, individual farmers, there are banks that are actually offering facilities for this kind of an activity. I was actually talking to KCB the other day, and they're saying they are supporting this particular venture. So there are many institutions, and if everybody actually joins hands, to have this particular cause, it will be possible. So banks can come in, that is financial institutions. The government can also come in. Even villagers can actually gather together and contribute a small amount so that they are able to harvest water that they can, when the weather becomes very dry. So it is actually an attitude change. Everybody should actually try to harvest water as much as possible.
Tuzingatie dry areas ambazo tunaona mara nyingi inakumbwa na ukame na wao ukata miti. Sasa manufaa makubwa ya miti hasa kuzingatia maeneo kame ni yapi?
One, trees are very, very important. As I told you, they create a microclimate that is able to harvest rain. That is number one. Number two, the roots of the trees are actually able to hold the soil together, so that when it rains, there's no surface runoff and there's no erosion. So that is another one. The other one is that trees also provide shade. They also provide fruits. They have a lot of advantages. So even in those particular areas that we are talking about, the dry areas of Ukambani and others, each and everybody should actually try and plant trees as much as possible. And we are actually advocating fruit trees.
All right.
Yeah.
Now, there's the aspect of permaculture, which is the type of agriculture that is dependent on nature.
Yeah.
We would also like to hear so much about it from you, but first we take a short commercial break. When we come back, we'll keep the conversation going with our guest, Mr. Peter Karanja, right here in studio, on the importance of water harvesting and also planting trees. And also, we do have Agri Nation. Do stick around for that. See you after this short breather.
Whenever you fly to space or take your first step as baby, SoftCare always stays with you.
New SoftCare Space Series is rooted from space technology. Keeps you dry and comfortable for 12 hours long. Offers you the most effective protection during your space journey.
SoftCare. Protect your leap.
The Open University of Kenya invites you for the 2023-2024 academic year. November-December intake is currently ongoing for the following undergraduate programs: Bachelor of Data Science, Bachelor of Science in Cybersecurity and Digital Forensics, Bachelor of Business and Entrepreneurship, Bachelor of Economics and Statistics, Postgraduate Diploma in Leadership and Accountability, Postgraduate Diploma in Learning Design and Technology. For more details on the qualifications, fees and admission procedures, please call 020-200-211 or log on to our website.
Ingia Digital na Neon, the most affordable smartphone made in Kenya. Available in all Safaricom shops, dealer outlets and www.masoko.com. Ingia Digital na Neon.
Oya, wacha tubonge safety issues za stima. Unacheki hapa juu ya poor wiring. Hii ni recipe ya disaster. Issues ni mob. Johnny hapa anatry tu kuvuka this fallen power line. Kuguza au kucross a fallen power line ni very dangerous. Ni poa kustay safe ama ni aje? Wacha ni washo ingine. Mtaani pia sometimes si hu compromise our safety. Balcony ya auntie ina encroach kwa power wave na hii inamwendenja sana. Ni crucial kukarada. Stay mbali na electrical wires. Ukiona any issues that could threaten life yako, tembelea ofisi za Kenya Power, dial *977# ama report to the nearest chief's office upate usaidizi. Uko na power ya kusave lives. Kenya Power, powering people for better lives.
Make use of insect sprays and repellents, both inside and outside the house, to kill and repel mosquitoes. Carefully read the instructions before using pesticides.
The Motindum liquid electronic device reaches every corner, giving you a peaceful sleep. Together, we can fight to end malaria. Motindum.
HIV doesn't make me not to work, you know? It's just a virus that is in our bodies.
Mwanamume aliyeishi na HIV kwa miaka 36 aeleza safari yake, ulimwengu ukiadhimisha siku ya ukimwi.
Hatutarudi nyuma. Leo hii tuko na maiti 3.
Shughuli za uchukuzi za katizwa Kapenguria, wenyeji wakilalamikia uvamizi wa majangili.
we are going to urge all our colleagues to stand in solidarity with the JSS teachers that they must be turned to permanent and pensionable.
Walimu wa sekondari msingi watishia kugoma iwapo TSC haitawapa ajira ya kudumu. Na katika Longa Longa leo tunauliza, maana ya unyanyapaa ni nini?
Kunyanyaswa. Unyanyapaa ni hali ya kuteswa.
Kila kitu ichukuliwe kuwa sawa.
Kuteswa na kuchanganywa.
Ubaguzi.
Rais William Ruto awasili katika kongamano la COP28 ambalo linafanyika Dubai, huku marais na wakuu wa serikali wanaohudhuria kongamano hilo la Umoja wa Mataifa kuhusu mabadiliko ya tabianchi wakihimizwa kutimiza ajenda zinazojadiliwa. Wakulima wa maparachichi katika eneo bunge la Ugenya, kaunti ya Siaya, sasa wanaitaka serikali ya kaunti hiyo kuwapiga jeki kwa kuwanunulia miche ya maparachichi ili kuwapunguzia gharama ya kusafiri hadi Murang'a ili kuinunua. Wakazi wa Kapkangani na Chepsonoi, kaunti ya Nandi, wameidhinisha mradi wa ujenzi wa kiwanda cha kuzalisha umeme na gesi kutokana na taka na mbolea eneo la Kaimusi FTC. Inafurahisha kuona kwamba wanashughulikia COP28 kuhakikisha kwamba tabia nchi athari zake tunapuuzilia mbali. Karibu tena kwako Ngira.
Alright, so we left it at the conversation on permaculture, being the type of agriculture which draws inspiration from nature. Once our farmers harvest this rain, once they're sensitized on the techniques, how best are we advising them so that we make sure it's used best in the farming practices, and how can they go about it?
Once you actually harvest the water, it is important to really use that particular water, because in essence, why are you harvesting it? And there are several methods that you can actually use to make use of that particular water. You can actually have what you call drip irrigation. You can actually also have what you call service irrigation. All these practices are actually possible. And at Agitech, we are actually training the farmers once they come. Once you harvest the water, how do you use this particular water? The incorporation of things like mulching. Mulching is that aspect of now covering the soil so that you don't lose a lot of water through evapotranspiration. So all these particular practices are actually important, and we are trying to help our farmers so that we conserve our water and also our soil, because even the soil is also very, very important. And we're actually losing a lot of soil when it rains through what you call service runoff.
Sasa bado tuzungumzie miti. Ni wakati gani mzuri wa kupanda miti sasa, hasa kwa mkulima ambaye anakutazama?
Wakati ile mzuri sana ya kupanda mti ni wakati mvua inanyesha, because you have free water from rain, you have free water from bird, so that is the best time, and everybody is actually supposed to be prepared during the rainy season. Just slightly before the rainy season starts, you prepare yourself. You say, I'm going to plant maybe 100 trees. You purchase the trees, put them in your homestead, so that when it rains, you just go ahead and plant the trees, because that is when the establishment will be okay. Because if you plant during the dry season, you are going to suffer a lot in terms of watering those particular trees. So the timing should actually be just before the rains.
Very briefly, let's speak on technology, all right, and how we are deploying modern day technology in our practices of water conservation. As of now, we do have other foreign countries that are conserving the humidity. As a country, how far are we in staying up to date with the modern technology? And are we incorporating research centers, young people who have the brains to come up with ideas to help in the technology aspect of it? And what is the way forward so that we make sure we're not just advising our farmers to stay with the old methods? Because right now the rains are heavy. It needs modern technology to make sure we are harvesting enough rain in the best way possible. What do you have to say about that?
Okay, as a country, I think we are lagging behind in terms of technology use. And I would actually urge the government, especially the national government and the county government, to come in and try to support the young people, those who have the technology, support them so that they actually have what you call startup companies, so that we can actually be able to modernize our technology. Because we are actually still using traditional methods. What did this is not right. When other countries, for example, are using drones to spray, we are actually still using the knapsacks. So we need to really up our game in this particular area of using our technology. We are quite far.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hapo kwa miti bado.
Yeah.
Do we have standard price ya kuuza seedlings?
That is a difficult question because it depends on the varieties. For example, at Agitech, we have very many types of trees, seedlings, and the prices are actually different depending on the variety. For example, maybe a mango tree will actually cost 150 shillings. Maybe an avocado seedling will actually cost maybe 250. So it all depends on the variety, because the varieties, different varieties take different time to mature, and even the process of actually seeding and even taking care are actually different. So the prices are actually different depending on the variety.
Now, Mr. Peter, as we wind up with this conversation, we'd like to know, how are you as Agitech working with the youth, and also give a word of advice to the young people when it comes to matters agriculture? Is there space for them in agriculture, and what different avenues can they explore?
I think Kenyan youth actually are having a problem because they are actually exposed so much in terms of lack of employment. They are not getting employment. They are having a lot of issues to an extent that being a youth has actually almost become a handicap. It is almost a handicap. But we are actually trying to encourage youth to venture in agriculture, and we have a program that we have collaborated with schools whereby we go and train the agricultural students in schools so that they start adopting agriculture. Because what we have actually realized is that agriculture is actually considered a dirty man's job. It has been taken like that for the longest time. And for example, when you go to a school, you realize that when the students are joining Form 1, there are about 100 students all doing agriculture. But by the end of the fourth year, there are about 20. So most of them have actually dropped the subject because they consider it as a dirty man's job. But we are trying to encourage this particular youth, and we are collaborating with schools to do that. We also have a program at Agitech whereby we are training youth on the aspect of agriculture, adopting agriculture and making agriculture cool. So Agitech is actually very much focused when it comes to youth.
Okay. Yeah. Asante sana Peter Karanja, afisa mkuu mtendaji Agitech Seedlings Nursery. Tunashukuru sana kwa kuja kwako na kwako sasa mtazamaji kwa kufuatilia, na vile vile mkulima, tunakupenda sana. Asante kwa ushabiki wako mkubwa, lakini kwa sababu ni Ijumaa, basi niseme kwamba choko mchoko naipweza binadamu hutomweza. Salia na Mwenyezi Mungu, kumbuka tatimiza ndoto. Jina langu ni Emmanuel Terer.
All right, now that is all the time that we had for you today, and of course this entire week. Thank you so very much, Mr. Peter Karanja, for being here and dropping a lot of golden gems on our Gold Conversation. It has been quite an insightful one. Of course, the entire team that made this production a success, a very big thank you. And our audience back at home for choosing to be with us every single